Shalom Norrisley family. Yasher Korach to Sir Keir Starmer, the head of the opposition, the Labour Party, who has finally declared to this nation that Labour is not the party of anti-Semites. You see, this week, Rebecca Long Bailey tweeted an article that had anti-Semitic tropes, and he said, not good enough. It's time to show who is what the nature of this party is, and you must stand down. Sure enough, he sacked her, but she said it's not her opinions. She agreed with many of the ideas in the article, but not necessarily all of the ideas in the article. And what was so wrong with tweeting an article that wasn't hers? In this week's parsha, Korach rebels against Moshe. He gathers 250 of the leaders of Israel, amongst them Datan and Aviram and On ben Pelet, all of the members of the tribes of Ruvain. And eventually, the earth opens up and swallows them alive, showing that Moshe is the true leader and Aaron is the true high priest. Now, what difference did it make that these characters came from the tribe of Ruvain? Let me share with you a couple of ideas. First of all, the Ibn Ezra. Says Rabbi Abraham Ibn Ezra that there was a real reason for Reubenites to support Korach in the rebellion. After all, Reuben was the firstborn of Jacob. Now, the firstborn and his descendants, his offspring, should, one would think, be entitled to the privileges of leadership, to the firstborn rights. And yet it had been taken away from their family and given to the Levites. Now Moses and Aaron were provided with the privileges of being a Levi or a Cohen. How was that fair? So the Ibn Ezra says that was the reason why the Reubenites saw fit to join the rebellion alongside Korach. Rashi provides a different reason. He says it has to do with the way the camp was set up. We read in previous parshiot that some of the tribes were encamped to the north, south, east, west. Who was encamped to the south? The tribe of Ruvain. Who was next to them? The family of Kahat within the tribe of Levi. Now, since Korach was part of that family, and he was in the same encampment as the Reubenites, they saw Datan, Aviram, On ben Pelet, that he was about to rebel, and they decided to join him in this revolt. Did they have any reason to join him? No. They just saw that this is going to be a protest. Let's overthrow Moshe, and they rallied alongside him. Does that make any sense? Rashi concludes with the words of the Midrash, Oy li Rasha, oy l'shcheno. Woe to the wicked man and woe to his neighbor. We have to make sure, says Rashi, that we not only are good ourselves, but we keep good company. Our environment has so much of an impact on who we are, and who we associate with also says a lot about who we are. You know, fans of Jeremy Corbyn would love asking people to point to something definitive that he'd done to demonstrate that he was an anti-Semite. And perhaps it was hard to do. He'd never actually declared anything that sounded anti-Semitic or written anything that sounded anti-Semitic. But here's the thing. You don't need to. Woe unto the wicked and woe unto his neighbor. And Corbyn has no shortage of neighbors and friends who are clearly self-identifying anti-Semites. Maybe not calling themselves as that, but by their actions very vividly, they are anti-Semitic, and he shows by associating with them that he has anti-Semitic tendencies. Now, some believe that guilt by association is a fallacy, is unjust, unfair, but we believe in Oy l'Rasha Oy l'Shreino, woe to the wicked, woe to his neighbor, that the company that you keep says a lot about you. The argument, well, I don't really support everything they say, is not good enough. You need to absolutely distance yourself from horrible people and their opinions. And certainly, completely unacceptable to retweet them or lay wreaths with them and so on. And so maybe let's reframe it. Maybe it's not just guilt by association, but guilt by insinuation. That's what we have at the very least, guilt by insinuation. I didn't say anything, but the fact that you were present or that you retweeted this anti-Semitic trope insinuated how you felt. Now, we think of Lashon Hara as having a bad tongue, saying bad things. But Lashon Hara goes so far beyond what we say, it's even the movements we make, the twitches and tweets. They tell the story, and I'm going to tell you why this story never happened, but let me share the story with you. They tell the story of when the Chafetz Chaim, Rabbi Israel of Radin, released his great book, Chafetz Chaim, about Lashon Hara. He sent a copy to a Hasidic Rebbe. And the way the Hasidim tell the story, the Hasidic Rebbe opens the book, reads through the book, and then says, oh, he forgot one important kind of Lashon Hara of the nose. Anyway, so the messengers come back to the Chafetz Chaim, and the Chafetz Chaim says, "Nu, what did he think of my book?" He says, well, the Rebbe responded that you omitted Lashon Hara of the nose. He says, whoa, now I get what he meant. Even that twitch of my nose, that was a form of Lashon Hara denigrating that Hasidic Rebbe. Now, the reason that story never took place and makes no sense whatsoever is because the very nature of that story is a Lashon Hara kind of story. So, of course, it didn't take place. Because we believe that Lashon Hara is any form of insinuation, not just what we speak, it's who we associate with, who we listen to and agree with, and don't speak up when we are in their presence and they say things that are inappropriate. So Keir Starmer was absolutely correct in sacking Rebecca Long Bailey this week. It's been way too long that people have been allowed to say things, write things, and have others simply retweet with no responsibility, no liability because they didn't say it. No, Lashon Hara includes the way we tweet, includes the way we twitch, includes every aspect. Guilt by insinuation is the same as guilt by association. Oy l'Rasha, oy l'Shreino. Woe to the wicked, woe to their neighbor. Let's strive to set the right tone, to be careful in what we say and what we don't say. In the tweets that we like, there's so much to read in the white space between the lines. Let's strive to be kind and gracious to one another in what we do, what we say, what we twitch, and what we tweet. Shalom, Shabbat Shalom to you all and to all your good neighbors.